Hello. So this is a video for the future generation and the future me. See, I have this problem. I, on occasion, do a video that is not technically a video and is just a still picture, or almost a still picture. So look at this. I'm doing music, I'm posting that on YouTube. This is just one background, static, maybe an announcement at the start, and maybe like a title at the end, right? And when you export that from DaVinci, especially if you use 444 color for whatever reason, it sizes at about preposterous 1.85 gigabytes, which is insane. And a while ago, when I was interested in X264 encoding, I was looking for a parameter that would help me alleviate this problem, because I would imagine that it is very easy for the codec to know that this image does not move, and hence you shouldn't waste any more bitrate on that. Surprisingly, it wasn't that obvious to know what to do, because, for example, it has like tune still image. There is this tuning parameter, but it didn't do much on it by itself. So I came up with a string that did help, and now here is a method that you could easily do and check if you're doing it right, using only free software, and I believe it's completely multi-platform as well. Shutter encoder definitely is. Media info, I would think so. So if you drag and drop this file that we just looked at into media info, you'll see a bunch of different information, and what you're looking for is size, codec, and bitrate, etc. So let's see, we have a very large audio stream, and in my case, I'm not going to change it. If you need to know how to transcode it, look elsewhere, although I'll give you like a little hint if you don't care about quality basically at all. But it's not an optimal hint, I would say so myself. If you don't know that this is not a file format and this is just a container and whatever else is inside is determined by something else, you should look into that if you need to know that. But if you don't, let's just follow along. You download this. This is free. This is basically a very, very good front end of ffmpeg, which is a free software that encodes, transcodes, and does whatever, does different operations with video and audio streams, remixes them. Basically, when you are using something like Handbrake or Shutter encoder, basically ffmpeg is doing all the work, and they are doing presets for you, say, or maybe different functions organized, or batch processing. Like ffmpeg is a command line tool, so it's not very user-friendly. So what will happen usually is you drag and drop a file in here, and you choose what do you want to do with that. You see you have a bunch of options. Let's say you want to do video encoding. It opens up this big comfortable window. You can cut it easily. You can choose different bit rates, and it tries to be like a bit idiot-proof. It also has different interesting functions, like watching a folder where you're like, maybe you're working as a video editor and you're, I don't know, transcoding things or exporting things constantly, and it can transcode it again once it sees like that there is an extra file in the folder. Doesn't matter, we're not doing any of that. We are using the simplest version of that window. We're not touching any of these controls because we are specifying everything ourselves. So how does it go? You drag and drop a file, and instead of choosing a function, you just copy and paste that. There we go. I was told that by a Reddit user on the Shutter encoder Reddit, so please go there if you need any extra help, because I was expertly and very cordially helped in like a day tops. Well, hours, but the difference in the in a different time zones. All right. So what will happen this way? What are we looking at? What do you want to change if you want to change it? So right now, when I press start function, also you have to, by the way, by default, it says none. You have to choose your file extension. You can choose MP4 if you're new to this, if you need that for your, I don't know, video editor. You can choose MKV if you know what you're doing and you need easy demuxing or easy cutting without transcoding, whatever. If you know what you have to choose, just choose it. But MP4 will do fine, MKV will do fine. I personally do MKV. So right now, when I press start function, it'll create the file. I'll skip through that process. My CPU is very good, very fast, but still it's not momentary. So as you can see, we're done here in about like a minute or two, but I have a 16-core CPU. This is the original file. It's over 2 gigabytes for a static picture in 4K, and this is 87 megabytes. So I'll call that a win, especially if you account for me having a very, very fat video in there. So basically, the picture itself is like, what, 10 megabytes? Around that, right? Let's see if we can perceive any quality change. So we'll do that. Drag and drop. This is our encode, by the way. If you see anything wrong with it, okay, maybe it's me transcoding the video back and again and again. I'll tell you later what's going on. So basically, nothing bad happened. This is the original. Let's look at the original, just in case, right? This is a 2 gigabytes original. All right. I don't see any explicit changes. We didn't like kill the picture. Maybe you can tell. Maybe you see like the tiniest change in grain or in color. It is possible. I'll tell you how to alleviate that if you do see the change. But basically, we are done. Drag and drop all the things. But before you do that, please listen to this consideration first. What you did is you told the encoder that you don't want certain types of frames to be next to each other, and they can be like far apart now. But that means that syncing of that file, so you choosing different parts of it, is now very slow. So if you don't care about that, go for it. If you do care about that, then you have to change this infinite thing to something else, like 200 or 600, and test it if it gets better. It will definitely get larger, though. So if you just remove that parameter, basically you are not doing much, and you are maybe just wasting your time and CPU time, and maybe doing the file wrong. You can tweak that parameter. So that's the consideration. If you cannot afford a slow seek time, this method does not work for you, but it does work wonders for the archiving purposes. So in my example, they are already uploaded on YouTube. I don't need them to work that well, most of them in video format. Like most of them are just static picture. I don't care if they don't seek very fast. And for those that, like I did 31 of them in a month. So I have a lot of like wasted space, like say 60 or 30 gigs on average. If I average that out between, I don't know, 500 megs and 2 gigs. And that's like stupid. I'd like to save that space. I'll never use these files. I'm just keeping them for their archival purposes, to not re-render them, I don't even have the DaVinci projects anymore for most of them. That's the reason, so I don't care. If you do care, for example, you are encoding audiobooks, but you'd like to listen them later to them yourself using that file, then yeah, you have to, instead of this infinite, you have to type something else in. You can copy and paste that from the video description. So now other consideration and tunings. If you want to bump up the quality, you lower this number. So say you say 18 or even 12 or something like that. It'll still be smaller, but it will get considerably larger, maybe even twice as large or more. Honestly, even if you don't care about the picture that much, if it's not too detailed, you can go with CRF24. It will basically determine, this algorithm determines how much bitrate does it spend on different pictures. So you don't have to account for that your picture is like complex or not complex. It decides for itself. Okay, so this, basically people don't use this tune usually, as far as I understand, but I found it to be a great compromise, especially for like interfaces. If you're doing tutorials like mine, a lot of static going on, like nothing is moving. Usually it still preserves little detail, but still saves a lot of space, better than tune animation and tune still image, in my experience. If you are in doubt, you can look into what X264 tunings are and type different things in there. Basically, they're like big presets of a lot of parameters we are not typing in manually. And the last one is this. This just says that we are copying our audio. So this is me specifying that we are doing something with audio, and this is me telling that we are not. Like in this case, we're saying we are encoding it with X264. But in this case, we are saying we are just copying the stream word for word, exactly the same, exactly as it was, which is what I want, right? I don't care about the size. I care about the quality in my case. If you just remove that completely, so if you do that like this, the audio still is present, but in my case, by default, it encoded it into OGG Vorbis 112 kilobits per second. This is an interesting compromise. This is not a modern codec anymore, but it is okay. It's like MP3 level okay, but it is like open, more open than MP3, does not add any delay. So MP3 is not suitable usually for video because it does add a little delay all the time. You cannot alleviate that. And also OGG, you know that it is supported like everywhere, but it is not what people use like for a decade anymore. So it's not the most effective option, but you'll have to Google ffmpeg commands to tune it for yourself if you know what you're doing. If you don't, and if you don't care that much, that's your option. You'll save like a bunch more space. So in case of my video file, if you don't care that much about the quality of that musical track, instead of 87 megabytes, it'll be, I don't know, 12, something along these lines, 20. Something along these lines. So it'll be, for some people, it'll be a saving grace. Yeah. So if you want to encode something, instead of the word copy, you insert something else and then the appropriate parameters. You have to read about that in ffmpeg manual, because I didn't, and I never dealt with ffmpeg directly myself at first. But it was an interesting experience, and then you just drag and drop a lot of files in here and you apply that function for the group and you go and get yourself a nice snack, and when it's done and you saved a bunch of space, probably. All right, that'll be the end of this tutorial. Media info is free, shutter encoder is free, MPC, the player, is free. Windows is not, but I don't think you care. Take care, guys and gals, and use that wisely. See ya.